Aloha everyone! Today I wanted to try something a little bit different and do a reading on a pop culture figure. Now these are topics that I've been wanting to do for a long time, so you'll probably see more videos about pop culture. So, thank you for those who continue to support me through all the different things that I am going to be exploring. And, I think it'll be fun to see each other go on this journey of discovering themselves, and that means doing a bunch of different things. So with that being said, I wanted to do today's reading specifically about GRB. Gypsy Rose Blandchard. Oh, look at that. The energies are already getting a little bit crazy. Isn't that interesting? I'm just kidding. I'm a klutz. No, but, I really believe that everything does happen for a reason. So let's take a cleansing breath. 2:44 on the clock. The angels and spirit guides, ancestors, and beings of love and light in alignment with our highest good are with us here today. And I'm simply a, what is it? A messenger of their wisdom. So let's dive right on in. I feel like people really want to know first and foremost, what are Gypsy's true intentions with her fame and her platform? What are her true intentions? Yes, okay. What are her true intentions with her fame? This card is calling towards me on the left side. Interesting. So that does give me there's a sense of, okay, so these cards just totally, so yes, these two cards were the first I pulled out for her true intentions. What are excessive control, inflexibility, big ego, power struggles? Wow. That is so interesting. These two basically are pretty much saying the opposites of each other. This is the King of Pentacles and the Emperor. Wow, so yeah, it's definitely driven by her ego, not by her heart. She's not coming from an authentic and genuine place of actually wanting to advocate for people like her and create change. It really is about the money, and to be honest, this is not really a surprise, right? When you look back at her past, it was always about the money. She was trained and raised and groomed to, to extort, not only to believe that life is all about money, but to extort money and to use her image, to use her to use her pain and her image, her past story, to gain sympathy in order to gain money. And that part is not her fault, and this is something that we all go through because we all experience trauma, and we all experience the cycle of it, perpetuating the cycle of that trauma. So, let's not demonize anybody, because this is, two things can be true at once. And that's a narrative. That's something that I've seen the collective become more and more awakened to. Yes, she is a victim, but that does not mean that she is not. That doesn't mean that she's also is not a perpetrator or an abuser, and not saying that she is. Everything I'm saying here is for alleged and entertainment purposes only. This is only speculation. So, that being said, to answer the question in more general finishing sentence, I believe that she's operating this way with these intentions and attracting more life experiences like this because that's all she knows, and because that's all that she's comfortable with, and because that's how she feels powerful. Really, that's the only true form of power that she's really allowed herself to feel, because that's what was projected and told, that that's the only way that she can assert her power, is by manipulating people. And I want to give sympathy for her. I also want to shed light on the truth. I also want to bring light to the shadows. And this is something that I always say, or that I've heard, and it really stuck with me ever since. This is from 𝓹𝓮𝓻𝓼𝓷𝓪𝓵, by the way. She channels 𝓍𝓮𝓻 and makes her own videos on YouTube. And so you can check out her channels for some very insightful readings on spirituality, how to manifest and heal, let go, talk to your inner child, things like that. So what she said was, darkness is just love that has forgotten that it is light. So everything is love and light. Yes, there's good and bad, and dark and light. There's this duality. There's even trinities and so on and so forth. And that is because it is all a part of source energy. Good and bad is all a part of source energy. So I'm just saying that reminder, we're not trying to demonize and paint her, but that's also not an excuse for her behavior. All right, so this is a very nuanced conversation to have. Okay, so let's shuffle here and say for the next card, let me feel what the collective really wants to know with this. Okay. They really want to know all about her love life. They really want to know. And maybe that card that just fell has a message about that already. So, okay. Okay, well, I guess it's... Wow. Y'all. Okay, how beautiful are these cards, first of all? Okay, but... Wow. Okay. So when I pulled this card, right, it just fell when I was talking about her love life. Okay, and so that's definitely what's holding her back from actually transforming and transmuting all of that darkness in that she experienced in her early childhood into love and light and healing. And it's because she's never been on her own. She's never been on her own, and therefore she doesn't know how to depend on herself and how to be self-sufficient and therefore she is like the rest of us, many of all of us practically. There's only so a small percentage of us who's, mastered this and got it all figured out. But, she is just like the rest of us where we're looking outside of ourselves for validation. And so that's why you're gonna see her never being single. Like, it's just so crazy. As soon as she broke up with her other boyfriend, what was it? Her fiance. Then she 4 days later she was seen getting a matching tattoo with her ex-fiance before him. And then when you look back into her prison history, she was always in a relationship. She was always having these pen pal relationships with a bunch of just random okay, I don't want to say desperate, but people who, yeah, from very damaged people at the very least, from very damaged, traumatized people looking for somebody else of that same type of trauma to trauma bond with. So, I mean, that's interesting. She's gotten a lot of love, and that's why this card is something that she's been avoiding. And it's like when I first pulled this card, I pulled it up, to the camera sideways because that's just what it felt like. And then I was like, well, I guess I felt more calling to the top, but like I said earlier in the beginning, I feel like every little thing happens for a reason. It has a divine meaning and higher purpose to it. So I feel like the fact that it was kind of down the middle goes to show that this is something that her soul is calling her towards, but something that her human mindset has been ignoring and neglecting and in denial of. As we all do. So she definitely has not faced her trauma at all. She definitely has not really. It's like she's only faced it in the sense that of what she was forced to face because of, I'm assuming, forced or mandatory treatment like therapy. But I'm sure she didn't get that much of it in prison as well, because prison is not really about reforming, right? It's about the punishment, and that's where I feel the nuance in this type of conversation in this type of situation calls for, and why I wanted to bring this higher perspective on it, because like I said, the good and bad, so the best of people and the worst of people, we're all still a source energy. So it's something to be understood and to have empathy for. And so the more and more that we punish, and the more that we say, like, you're a monster, you're irredeemable, and you deserve hell and nothing else, and you don't get to have any say on that, or redeem yourself, or process your trauma and heal from it, things like that. Like when we don't allow for that, when we just immediately condemn and cancel people, right, and we don't allow for this. And it's such a fine line. It's such a fine line, because when you give people that leeway or the benefit of the doubt, a lot of the times that's what they'll take advantage of, and that's why people believe that we need to go hard and to punish and to this and that. And yeah, it is such a hard balance to make. And that's why this is such a nuanced conversation to have. Just like Gypsy Rose can be the victim, and many people, like I'm pretty much, I think this is safe to say that every single perpetrator, every single abuser out there in the world was once a victim. You don't become a toxic, abusive person without having that kind of toxicity in your life and having it reflected. You don't project it. You do not project it without it being reflected to you first. You have to have it reflected to you, projected to you before you reflect it. Or whatever words you want to use, guys. But do you see what I'm saying? Everything is just a full circle, like we're all the same, and everything's just a mirror. So it's really cool to get like this insight on, even people who've done such heinous crimes, and who have been through such a dark abuse, and even that has divinity in it. 1844, when I said that, yes, there is divine purpose and beauty to it all. Okay, so I wanted to add to this hermit, as I was saying, that it just came to me. Like, we are all multidimensional, higher consciousness beings who come to the school of Earth to go through these crazy and traumatic experiences, because that's rapid growth and expansion for our soul. So, yes, look at that social media, guys. So, we choose to go through all of these traumas. We choose to go through specific life, or the major life challenges that we go through. We choose to go through them because we know that on the other side and outside of it, when we come out of it, we'll have gained valuable lessons, and the lessons are the true blessings in life. Because if you're just given abundance and you're just given love and light and happiness, yeah, it's nice, but and do you think that you end up appreciating it? Like, imagine, do you think that you end up appreciating it as much as you would have if it was more challenging to get? and yeah, like let me just break it down in the simplest of terms. Just like with the video game. With the video game, if it's too easy, it's boring. You want to challenge yourself. You want to go into harder and harder and difficult, more difficult levels. So because it's more fun, it's more challenging. You want to learn. You want to grow. You want to challenge yourself. Okay, so that's how it is for this school of Earth, guys. Okay, and yes, look at what, like, the fact that it's like he's in space and like all these planets and like the light here. It's giving me when we were planning our lives back in the ethers, back in the spirit realm, back when we were only consciousness and bodies of light, when we're planning our next reincarnation. So don't fret that this was all part of the plan. This was all part of divine timing and planning. And this is all a part of what everyone involved, even the collective who just hears from it, even us hearing about it. We learn and grow and have an experience and a lesson through it and from it. So there's so much expansion. We want to focus on the expansion and the learning and the growing that comes from it. And so that's why Gypsy chose to go through this, okay? Because she really wanted to learn what true self-love was. And I feel like that's what we're all here for. Like the reason, the solution, the problem, and the answer, like the force of the universe, of life, everything is all about love. It all comes down to self-love, okay? So yeah, she came here to learn that I feel like I feel like she must be like a powerful and wise, a highly vibrational being before she came down here. Because yeah, you definitely don't sign up for it if you're a newbie, you don't sign up for that kind of stuff if you're a newbie. And yeah, she definitely signed up for a very unique and niche vibration of trauma, a very low niche vibration. So, and when souls, when spirits, when beings choose that, it's because they wanted to have this more of a rapid acceleration of soul growth and expansion. And it's beautiful because the bigger the trauma is, the bigger the trauma, the challenge, the healing, the bigger that all of that is, the more that the more that it is felt through the collective. So this is something that her soul, I feel like, did not only for her own soul's expansion, but she also chose this for the collective. She also chose this to bring awareness so her soul did choose this to bring awareness and to advocate for people like her. And it's like she's tapped into the point where she just grazes the surface, and it's kind of like she's abusing and manipulating her because she was forced to go to therapy. She didn't really use it in the way that's going to help her and heal her. She just took those tools to further manipulate because she didn't really want to get better. So yeah, and so she's, when we all come down here, we do still have free will. So we can choose to learn from these challenges and grow from it, or we can choose to become worse. Or we can choose, or what should I say, not become worse, or we can choose to stay stuck in it and to perpetuate more of that darkness and shadows. So we have that choice, and that's another reflection or affirmation or confirmation of how powerful the beings we truly are. Okay, they wanted us to know that we have the ultimate power to do both. Okay, so it is our choice to choose what we do. So this is happening this way because she is ignoring her soul's desire to heal and to face her. She's not facing her emotions. She's not facing her pain, her trauma. She's not facing any of it at all. She is, because when she talks, she is very articulate and very like emotionally intelligent. You can tell she's very emotionally intelligent. So like I was saying before, how she didn't voluntarily. So yeah, like I was saying before, she didn't really voluntarily get better, right? She got caught and was kind of forced to get better. So that's all kind of an act. And that's not something that she's really going to be able to come to terms with and come out on the other side and be rehabilitated. And she's not going to really be a healed person until she is alone, until she faces it on her own and turns within. Until she turns within and she stops looking outside for validation, and she stops looking outside for. And yeah, you can tell she's looking outside for confirmation and validation because like I said, when you hop back and forth between relationships and you can't be single, it shows that you don't want to be alone. You can't be alone with your thoughts, and so you're looking for a distraction because you don't want to give yourself that validation. So you look for it outside of yourself because you're not believing and trusting yourself. Like I said, it comes down to self-love and self-worth. All right, beautiful. Now that being said, right, she's not a monster. She is a beautiful multidimensional being, just like as much as the rest of us, just like the rest of us. And like Namaste, I see divinity that is within me is within you, and that divinity is within us all. That being said, that divinity can still be capable of some very, very dark things. And let me just say, when you have this higher vibrational, a higher level of consciousness and awareness and level of thinking, and you realize it and you remember who you are, right? You're not a human. You're more than this. You're more than this body. You're more than this lifetime. You're a consciousness that is eternal, that is infinite. Once you remember and you realize that, you realize and remember, right, that we come here just for school. Like Earth is a school, it's a video game, a simulation, right? We come here for expansion. Once you remember that, and you know and accept that, and open yourself up to it, and embrace that idea, you realize it doesn't matter. It does not matter what any person or people does to your physical body, or how terrible. Of course, it matters. Of course, it matters. But I would say, despite that, regardless of that, they can never touch what it is that is truly you. They can never take away your true power. Because what is it when people rape and abuse someone? They're trying to have power over somebody because they feel like they don't have it within themselves, so they're trying to take it from someone else. Well, you have this infinite, you have this innocence, you have this playfulness, this happiness, this youthfulness. I want to take that from you. I want to drain your energy. I want to steal your energy. Because I feel like I don't have that within myself, and it triggers me. It triggers me, so I want to take it out on you. Right, so everything is just a lesson and a reflection to bring awareness of where you are currently at in your consciousness at this point in time, to bring more awareness of what needs to be healed or what needs to be, So when you remember that, it really brings like this lightness to even the darkest of things that happen here. And of course, that is something that we are able to reconcile with and to still heal and reflect on the other side. Because, a lot of us do go out in such tragic, dramatic, dark ways. And like I was saying with the namaste, like we're all just experiencing reflections of ourselves and of each other. We are all the same. I am you, you are me. If I was living your life, I would be like you too. I would, it's... So I just wanted to frame that perspective to really take us out of this like three-dimensional and like one lifetime and one dimensional, one aspect of ourselves and of other people. Like just take that away and put ourselves in this, and we can just take that away so that we can see the true higher purpose behind it all. All right, because once we take away the ego, once we take away the fear and once we heal and transmute that trauma, then we can really retain the lesson from it. Okay, so I know this is a very dark case, and I have watched a lot of videos, done a lot of research into Gypsy's story, and I found that there was a lot of inconsistencies with her story and what happened on her, and what exactly was her part, and how much of a part she played in planning the murder of her mother. Okay. And there's a lot of suspicion to be had. There's lots of suspicion to be had. So let's pull from the Angel Wisdom deck, all right? So we can get the higher perspective of this incredibly dark thing that she did. Okay, like what is the truth? What is Gypsy's truth? How much of a part did she play in this? What did she do? How much of a part did Gypsy play? Interesting. Holy shit, guys, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Okay, so clearly it's a page, and it's the wind. It's the wind, the element of wind here, which gives me like imagination, ideas, creativity. So she was really the one. She was the idea man. She was the idea man. Okay, she was the one coming up with the plan, and she really played off of like the perception that she knew that she would be perceived as the page, or as a novice, as an innocent young inexperienced person, and so she knew that people would give her. And she played that. She purposefully played off of that. Wow. And you see how he's alone here. And it's interesting that it's a boy. It's very interesting that it's a boy. But the fact that he is alone does give me the feeling that it is that Gypsy planned it basically on her own and was like the mastermind behind all of this. Reviewed all documents very carefully. Intellectual, brilliant insights, logical perspective insight. It's like, yeah. Let me try to remember some things. Oh my god, guys, and it just hit me. Look at that. And he's holding a long ass sword. That was something that I was super like had. Oh my gosh, you guys. That was a major. I'm getting chills. Okay, that was a major question for me. Oh my gosh. Okay, because when you're listening to the videos and the playback of her story and all of the evidence, oh my gosh, and you listen to Nick's. Okay, 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 guys, let me just get into it. Okay, when you listen to Nick's interrogation, the officer offered him to write a apology letter to anyone that he would like to, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd like to do that. That'd be great. I'd like to apologize to everyone except Dan." Uh, I don't know why the police didn't look into this more. Maybe we could pull a card. I'm not for sure, but it's like Dan was the first person. She lied about that too. Dan was the first boyfriend and the first person that she opened up to about what her mother was really doing and the truth that she could walk. And the first boyfriend that she ran away with. And her mom pulled her back. And the fact that her mom was able to bring her back, if she was 18, she already ran away. Like, how was she able to bring her back? Because she knew that she could walk. And if she is already done with her mom, right? Like, her mom. Okay, I'm getting. I need to pull cards on this before I get too carried away because I'm getting like, I'm remembering from the videos and what it really felt from the videos. Okay, so, anyways, right. So that whole Dan thing was making me like suspicious of her relationship with what's his name, John or Nick in the first place, and at the end of it, I really had the feeling in my heart that she purposely, from the very beginning, she talked to Nick for years. She perfectly targeted him ever since she came back from, I feel like, ever since she came back from her mom coercing her to come back with her when she ran away with Dan. I think that's when she really planned to, let's get rid of her. But in order to really do that, yeah, I'm all innocent and sickly, but I need to have somebody else to be the fall guy. So it really sells it, and it really, there's no question. And so she purposely picked somebody with such a low IQ and who's autistic, somebody who's so vulnerable to manipulation. How is she not aware? How does she not know? And the fact that she's still using the baby voice at that point on him, it was, sorry, I guess so. She using the baby voice with him, and not only that, she was like cosplaying, and she was like, "Oh, I only do this for him because he has that dark side." But that's cosplaying and dressing up, and the like this dark sexuality is something that she had and shared with Dan. That was all her. Okay, so I was like, and if that's the case, well, if that's the case, was he even the one who really stabbed her? Because Nick in his interrogation from the very beginning, because he's so vulnerable, it's just so clear. You can tell from the very beginning. He's just tells the truth from the top. He's just like he breaks immediately, and he's like, and you can tell he's so hurt by how betrayed he felt by Gypsy, because in his head, right, they were in it together. She would never, but she immediately turned on him, and he was like, whoa, what? And so that made him start to tell the truth, and he's basically saying that he remembered only stabbing DeeDee 4 times. That's a very specific number. Okay, and in total, DeeDee was stabbed 17 times, and so much in her neck area, to the point that she was nearly decapitated. That takes a lot of energy. He even got into detail and explained how he remembered it was 4 because on the 4th stab, he remembered how he thought it must have punctured her lungs because it was a lot harder to pull it out on that one. And if by the 4th one, he's like having all these like inner dialogue and having a hard time pulling out the 4th one, that doesn't seem like somebody who has that rage and like a personal vendetta to stab somebody like 17 times in the neck and nearly to decapitation. That is personal. In the neck, that is personal to have done something like that. So I was like, Gypsy must have been the one. Gypsy must have been the one to stab him. That was my inclination. And this card, not to stab him, she must have been the one to stab her mother to do this. Okay, and the fact that he's carrying a big old sword. Oh my god. And Gypsy was like bald or had a shaved head around that time too. So, and the fact that she's been so meticulously planning is giving masculine energy. So like she was the one. She was the one. And with the butterflies, and it's like a young boy. It's like she is very intelligent, but at the same time, because of her trauma, she is still very emotionally immature. And so it was almost, I'm feeling like there was this childlike aspect of, well, if I just get rid of her, I'll be free. That's my key to transformation and for my freedom. And it's like she really did. And you know what? Poor girl, she was fueled up by drugs and doing all these crazy surgeries from such a young age. She must have had some very, very distorted ways of thinking and ways of viewing life, and especially towards her abuser. And now that's why I was trying to mention when she got caught with Dan and her mom brought her back. That's what I was trying to mention. How could her mom, get her back to that if she's really, and yeah, of course, I understand people in an abusive and toxic relationship, it doesn't take much because they feel so hopeless and helpless. They will willingly go back to their abuser. Yes, that's of course is true as well, especially when it's parental figure. I understand that is very possible and possible. Now, I do also feel like there is enough room and speculation for to have the question asked of, well, how much up until what point was Gypsy involved in or not? How much did she how until what point did she know and maybe was even in on the schemes, the scams? Okay, because I'm feeling like maybe it was around that point that she turned 18. No, not that she when she I don't know whatever age that she what she thought she was underage, and then she found her birth certificate and she was like 19 or something. So I feel like it was around that time that she started, and her mom towards the end of her life, her mom was getting more and more sick. A Gypsy could have killed her so easily. She was the one. Gypsy, I believe. I gotta check this. I believe the Gypsy was the one who was administrating DeeDees diabetes medicine and insulin, and she very full well. And even DeeDee poisoned, or allegedly, her own family believe she tried to poison her, DeeDee's mother. And so it's very interesting, and I think it's very purposeful that that Gypsy chose for her mother to go out in such a violent, aggressive way, because she was holding, she naturally she's holding a lot of pent up energy and aggression, and just had distorted ways on how to go about that. Clearly. Now let's go into her dark side. Like, how much of a dark side did Gypsy have? Let's. How should I phrase this question? Yeah. So I'm gonna put one card for Gypsy's persona, her public persona, and her true persona. Okay. Let's do this. Gypsy's public persona. Gypsy's true persona. Interesting. Okay, guys, sorry for the cut in the video, but I just had to restart this part here. So right, this card, the first card was for how the world sees her, how she's portraying herself, and this is like her authentic self. So this is how the world is seeing her, as a greedy little, I don't know what a miser is, but it's like a conniving, it's giving me a conniving, manipulative, greedy, selfish person. And so I feel like that's, she feels like the world is painting her like a monster. She feels like, and I feel like that's why she's going on such a crusade, on so many interviews, and on this like campaign. And she's like, I'm advocating, but she's really just like sharing her story and like trying to prove herself. So I think that's why she's doing so many interviews, because she feels the need to prove herself, and she wants to clear up her image. The thing is, this is who she is behind the mask, and I feel like she kind of looks at life as she was groomed to look at life, as like a chess piece, look at people as tools to use. And so she's kind of, I feel like she's using all of this trauma, all of her trauma, all of her baggage. She's using that as reasoning, as justification for, like, I should be able, because I went through so much crap, I went through so much pain and trauma, I should be able to just like glide and zoom through life and doing whatever I want to do, and people should cater to me because I've been through shit, I deserve it. Which in and of itself is valid feelings to have when you experience such immense trauma. You hold on to this resentment, and when you have this resentment and you have like a chip on your shoulder, you have like this, it comes hand in hand with this expectation of other people needing to like make up for it for you, like the world needs to make up for it for you. So yeah, she has that twisted, distorted mindset of how the world operates, and how and what she has a twisted, what am I trying to say, she has a distorted idea. Of course she has a distorted sense of self. Everything is so deeply distorted, and so there's no judgment. That's just an explanation and an understanding of where she currently is at. And I find it interesting that, like I was saying before earlier in the reading, I believe that everything happens for a reason. So I feel like this card was on the top, and it called to me because it was so colorful, and it was showing, and its message is of maturity. And look, it's a bald person too, and it's kind of a feminine image, which kind of represents Gypsy. And there was a ding. So if you notice, if you hear it, I don't know if you heard it, but that was outside my room. But if you hear a ding or notification, pound or buzz, sound, a loud sound, any loud sound, I like to use it as confirmation from spirit. And yeah, I mean, I guess you can use anything really. Okay, sorry guys, I got distracted, but trying to get back into the channeled message. I think what spirit is trying to convey is to really see her in the light, see yourself in her, and see the divinity in her. like I was saying earlier with the namaste. Namaste basically means I see the same divinity that is within me is within you. And that is true unconditional love when you're not looking down on anybody because, or you're in a deeper, darker place and, I'm not in that place. So I look down on you, like, or you're not looking up to anybody, like you're so much better than me, so there's this importance to acknowledge the divinity that is with all of us, and therefore, that being said, there's always potential because, like I said earlier, we all come here to learn and for the school, but we still have free will to choose free will to the point of how we want to react to things. That's where our true free will comes in. We have full free will in how we want to react to the world, our trauma, and to other people. So she does still have that potential. She is still very young. So I believe that source energy is asking for the world to give her more grace. I feel like this card is calling to, when people are struggling, when we're struggling, we want to compare, we want to guilt, shame, and we want to bury, and we want to deny things, and we want to, like when we're just such a big void, we want to deny it, blank it out, right? And so it takes such look at the tower moment. It takes such a catastrophic, traumatic events and challenging moments in our lives to be the catalyst for change, to be the catalyst for transformation. And so that is the divine higher purpose of everything. Sometimes it's to let go of control, to open yourself up more to, yes, the divinity within us all. Oh, wow. I mean, I'm sure I could go on and on here. It's 6:44 on the clock as I said that. Yes, because everything's connected and everything's a reflection. And look at that. Look at that. And the snake is also a symbol of transformation and cycles. And it's in a circle, like a mirror, a reflection. And she's got all flowers. Look at her. She's surrounded by scarcity. She's surrounded by scarcity, right? But inside, from within. If you look from that lens and of within, you see she's filled with abundance. She's filled with fertility, and that's what they're trying to say about all of us, even the worst of us. Okay, the worst of humankind is the same energy or comes from the same source energy as the best of humankind. So when we let go of like this spiritual, what am I trying to say? When we let go of judgment, like this is good and bad and right and wrong and open to neutrality and acceptance. It does not excuse anything that happens, but once it brings upon understanding and empathy, and through understanding and empathy comes healing. There is no healing without understanding and empathy, without more love. If you want to bring more transformation and more healing, and you want to transmute the darkness, it's always going to take more love. You're struggling to connect or to overcome a challenge with someone, it's always going to take more love to the situation. That's what source is always going to say, because that's what makes the world go round, guys. And isn't that such a beautiful thing? Like we think that because the world is so hard and so ugly that there's not this unconditional love. But that's the thing. You're putting a condition on it. You're only lovable if you're a good person, or you're only forgivable if you have remorse. This is a very nuanced conversation to have, right? I mean, we don't owe anybody anything. And I think that as much as we want to see other people, see the divinity in other people and love them for that and accept them for that, that does not mean that we do not put boundaries. That does not mean that we just let people walk all over us and do whatever, and what do we call it, exert ourselves and until there's nothing, and give ourselves until there's nothing left. We need to have boundaries. There is love, but we need to also have love with wisdom and balance with wisdom so that we are not being taken advantage of. So that being said, as much grace as they deserve, that doesn't mean that there's an excuse, and that doesn't mean that there's an excuse, and it doesn't mean that we should forget or forgive or move or it just means that we're allowing for not any. It just means that we're not allowing like one moment or one aspect. And I know it's not one moment or one aspect. We're not allowing our past traumas to define ourselves. Of course, that is something for the person themselves to decide. We have free will, and I feel like she's choosing. I feel like she's not choosing to perceive it that way or to view it that way because of this, because it's like with a kid. When you have a kid who keeps messing up, like they're struggling doing their math homework, for example, and you're getting frustrated with them naturally, and so you raise your voice, you get angry, you have a pissed off tone, and you're like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just get it? Why are you, oh god, you're so here we go again, like you're so bad at math, or like you always do this, like you always forget this, you can never get this right. And when you just have this, when you project this perspective of I'm certain that I'm defining you as this one-dimensional thing, and I'm boxing you, I'm putting you in this box. When you do that to people, it's called learned helplessness, and they feel like, well, when they're looking for outside validation and they haven't given it to themselves, and somebody invalidates them in that way, then they accept that, right? Because they're looking for it outside of themselves, so they accept whatever they get, and they say, okay, well, I guess she's right. I guess they're right, and I guess I really am bad. And they start to accept and to believe and take that on. Now, when they get older and they become more conscious and they become more awakened and self-aware of their own thought patterns and beliefs, then they can take away, well, this was never even mine. This was projected onto me as a child, and I took it because I didn't know how not to. I didn't know that this wasn't normal or this wasn't healthy. I didn't know any better. And now that I do, now that I'm awakened to it and realize it, now I'm choosing something better. So I don't think that she came to that resolution in her healing journey yet of like, I can choose better. I think she's angry. I think because she's holding on to a lot of resentment that's blocking her from even seeing her power in it. It's blocking her from seeing that nobody's a victim and nobody's a villain, and therefore she doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to prove anything. Like, she doesn't need anybody's support. She doesn't need fame. She doesn't need a boyfriend. She's rejecting that. So speaking of her boyfriends and her love life, and I'm getting very into the divinity that we all are, and I don't want to brush over the darkness, the shadows that is also a part of her. And so I want to go back to this card and pull more information on the part that she did play. So clearly she was a mastermind. Clearly she took out her aggressions like she fantasized about, and specifically made the decision to go about in such an aggressive and violent way. Yeah, so with that being addressed, I want to look into how regretful, how remorseful she is about it. How truly remorseful is she about it? Okay, I feel like these cards are calling me. How remorseful is Gypsy Rose? Interesting. Wow. So, and I just got a notification. You probably can't hear it because I have AirPods. So I just got a notification, and as I was thinking, I was like, "Wish, I guess she really does not feel guilty at all. Like, she's just like, I see. So it's like I'm saying with the healing journey, like we want to first it's taking accountability for our own feelings and our own belief system, and how we have the power to change our life, therefore, and create our reality once we do that. And she's wanting to skip to the part of creating a new reality and jump to the finish line instead of going through the middle steps of actually healing and going and feeling the guilt, allowing herself to feel all the remorse and to allow she doesn't want to go through the healing process, because the healing process is not fun. It doesn't really feel good. It's very tumultuous, and it takes a toll on you, and yeah, she does not want to face that. She kind of wants to just she wants to be on the other side of it without doing the work. She doesn't want to do the inner work. That's what I got from that card. I guess we can pull another for the clarity. How does Gypsy really feel about her mother? How does she really feel about Nick? How does Gypsy really feel about her mother? Oh, all right, that's pretty. That's so in alignment. How does Gypsy really feel about Nick? Interesting. Oh my gosh, you guys. And how does Gypsy really feel about Dan? How does Gypsy really feel about Dan? Okay, and how does Gypsy really feel about what is her ex-fiance's name? The ex-fiance she just broke up with. And how does Gypsy feel about the ex-fiance that she went back to right after that guy? I think his name is Ken. Wow. It's like she talked about Ken. She talked about Ken being like the one who got away, the one who left her heartbroken. And yeah, it's like the other guy was like a rebound. The other guy was her rebound. Wow, I feel... Yeah, another confirmation. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. I got another notification while I was thinking that. So that confirms that Gypsy and what's his name? They didn't really have the dynamic that people are thinking they're having. Like, she didn't really have the control that she wanted over him. Like, he wasn't as powerless or victim, as much of a victim as people were thinking. Like, people were thinking that she was taking the role of her mother, and he was Gypsy. The way that she would like pinch and grab him and tell him to shut up, and like coach him to say certain act a certain way in interviews, very similar to her mother. So this is giving me like she didn't have that kind of control that she wanted, or that people thinking, because he had more of a backbone than people thought. And I felt like he did love her, but I felt like she she wanted to control him, and she wanted to be the one in power, and because he fought back at that, she let him go. That's what I think. And with this new person, I feel like maybe this new person kind of was the opposite and didn't have any backbone, and so it's like she can do whatever the hell she wants. And with the celebration, it's interesting that there's three here, so it's giving me like it's not like a love connection, like there's outside parties, and it's not like it's not like a higher dimensional authentic love connection. There's other parties involved in this, because it was really all about her having control and being able to do what she wants. And I get that that's why there's this celebration energy and this Three of Cups energy in regards to Ken. Okay, because you do not have a emotional attachment or connection with somebody, and then you just go back to your ex after that, a few days later. Like, you must have been talking with him before then. You must have been two-timing them, you know what I mean? Like, it's giving that she's totally using the both of them. It's giving that she's totally using both of them, and she's just tossing aside people who are not depending on how compliant they are. And I think, because he really was genuinely, like, I don't know, attached emotionally or infatuated with Gypsy, that's what attracted them to each other, because she was like, whoa, I can use that, I can use that. And he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I think he kind of saw her as like somebody maybe he could manipulate and control and have power over, because of her situation and background. And yeah, I think they're both similar. I think they're both very more similar than they thought. And that's why they butted heads a lot, because they didn't want to be the same. They wanted to be somebody who's on the opposite, so that they could have this, like, because they didn't want to be equal. I guess they didn't want to have that equal, what am I trying to say? Yeah, they wanted to have one be above the other. And that's why they didn't work out. Because they both wanted it. Okay. Yeah, we're going backwards. Okay, and this was about Dan, right? This card was about Dan. So I feel like this card confirms he was her true love. He was her first love, and she holds him in that high regard. The fact that she is alone in this card, I feel like, okay, they don't really have that. I feel like they're not really in talking much anymore. And I do remember hearing in a video of one of her prison inmates, or was spilling the beans on how Gypsy talked about Dan a lot, even after she was incarcerated for killing her mom, and how she was sad that he cut off contact with her, stopped talking to her one day, because she was like, he was always going to be there for me, he said. And she loved him, and he left her, and he gave up on her. And so I feel like that lines up with this card, and she still looks on him fondly, because he was that first experience, right? It was a learning and growing experience, and so I guess that's all she sees it as now. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. This is totally giving me the energy of manipulation, the way that like this specific image is being projected at people, right? It's like it's manipulation, and it's just like manipulation in the sense of she was never really herself. She was only portraying an image. She was projecting an image that she thought he wanted to see. And he was unconsciously doing the same, only because he doesn't really know himself, and doesn't really know better. And because he's so vulnerable with his mental state, and his level of consciousness, he was just doing the same thing that she was doing. He was projecting because he just wanted to people please, and she was projecting because she wanted to people please with an agenda of, obviously him doing her dirty deeds. So that, I feel like that really confirms for me that their relationship was really just, it was a complete orchestration. And doesn't this kind of look like Nick too? Isn't that crazy? And Gypsy while they're in jail. Bro, that's kind of crazy. Okay. Whoa, look. Okay, this girl currently at this, maybe this will change in the future, because like this card was trying to show her later with maturity. Maybe this is something that will come to her later in life. Right now she's going through this stage of like resentment and anger, and wanting to like take revenge because of that, and wanting to just like fuck everybody. I'm gonna do what feels good for me, because I've been through too much shit to not do that, and I deserve that. And it's kind of like, instead of owning up to your trauma in your life and the things that you did wrong because of that, and saying, and you can own up to it and still say you deserve it. She's just ignoring it and telling herself that she deserves it, because I guess deep down she doesn't really believe that she does deserve it, because because her mother has drilled it into her head. Yeah, definitely. It's coming to me a quote that she said in like her Lifetime prison documentary. Her mom would often say to her, like, you don't deserve, you're never gonna find somebody who loves you, and you don't deserve to be happy, you're never gonna find happiness, and stuff like that. And so I feel like that's also part of the reason why she's so um going back and forth between relationships and unable to stay single, because that's another aspect of where she's trying to prove something, and having resentment. And I think that's towards her mother. She wants to prove it to her mother, and I think she even admitted it herself. She wants to, because her mother says that she wants to do all the things that her mother specifically said she couldn't. So no, I do not think that this girl feels any remorse at this point in time. I want to pull another card specifically on the stabbings. Was Gypsy another card to confirm? Just another confirmation of, like, was Gypsy? Oh, was Gypsy the one to stab her mother? Was Gypsy the one to decapitate her mother? Okay, I don't know about you, but the first thing that came to my head when I saw this was like a warrior, a woman in old times, holding a decapitated head as a prize. You know how they did that back in the day? Well, look at that consistent plan of goal-oriented manifestation, ambitious. Like, she wanted this. She wanted her mother to go out in this violent, aggressive way, because she wanted to pay back. She wanted to give. She wanted to take revenge. She wanted. She wanted violent revenge, like a trophy. Like, that was her. Yeah, it's like when somebody kills you and tortures you, and you want to, and like in those movies where you get kidnapped and killed and tortured, and you root for the main character the whole time she's hunting and tracking down and killing all the people who did that to her. I feel like that's kind of how she sees herself, as a vindictive, like she's vindicating herself, an avenger. Like she totally sees herself as a victim and her mother as a villain, and she's a hero, she's a warrior, and I feel like she knows that other people wouldn't see it that way, and that's why she puts on this act and plays the part of being remorseful and of innocence. And guys, this is pretty trippy. Loyal, faithful messenger. Like, she was committed to this idea. She wanted to convey a message to people. Like, she wanted attention through it that way. I feel like also attention is a big part of her personality. I feel like. So honestly, I feel like it was a message, but not really a message to the world. It's kind of like an inside joke to herself. Like, this validates how strong I really am, how strong and how smart I really am. I think she kind of gets off with the fact that she got away with it. I think she gets off to the fact that, like her ego is getting stroked, to the fact that people are viewing her in this victim mindset of, like, it couldn't have been her. She's a poor little victim. Or, like, of course she would do that. Her mother was terrible, right? Of course, you want all the excuses for your behavior. You don't want to own up to it. Right? Because she wants to take the blame all on her mom. She wants to put the blame all on her mom, when in actuality, well, not in actuality, but in speculation, okay, I feel like there was a point. Let's ask about that. Was there a point in which Gypsy Rose was in on the schemes and the plans with her mom? Was there any point she was in on the schemes and plans? Like, it was her choice. It was her choice to stay and be in it. Like, I feel like once after the point where she realized that she was overage and she ran away with Dan, and her mom is getting all sickly, like, I feel like at that point she really could have just walked away. Maybe at that point she came back because her mom, convinced her, we can make a lot of money in this together. Something like that. We'll see. So, was she planning a part of the money schemes at all? The King of Forces. The King of Forces, the ones who calls the shots, the force, the energy, like, you manifest, you attract. That's giving me yes. On track? Okay, thank you. I was uncertain, so I was flipping for more confirmation, and yes. Okay, that is on track. Thank you, source. Thank you, spirits. So that confirms, like, there was definitely a point in which she became the king, in which she took over, and she knowingly played a part. She knowingly, consciously consented to scam people with her mother, because they did get a lot of trips, they did get a lot of money, and they did get a lot of sympathy and attention. I think it was about both for them. It was about attention and it was about money. Ding ding. Thank you, source spirit. Okay, interesting. Let's see if we can get another confirmation on at what point, maybe based on the picture or the words of the card, at what point can you tell us around that she knew? At what point did she become conscious? Okay, I knew it. Just like I suspected, guys. It was when she met Dan. It was when she met Dan. It was when she met Dan and ran away with Dan. And I knew it. I knew it. Her mother convinced her to go back. She was like, "Oh, my mother told me that I could stay with him, and I believed her. She would let me, and so I went back with her." No, like her mom had nothing. Her mom had no power. Like she was with a grown man who could have pushed her mom out, and her mom, you couldn't call the cops. Her mom didn't have no right. They all knew. They all knew. Dan, her, they all knew that she was over 18. So she had nothing to bring Gypsy back with her. Okay, so whew, she had nothing but money. She had nothing but giving her, I can offer you power. I can offer you my seat. I can offer you control. You can be in the driver's seat. All right, just get back in the scheme with me because I think her mother needed the company, the control, and the money and the attention. And I think that they were both. I think that, yeah, there's definitely a part of Gypsy that was very much like her mother. That was the unconscious part of her, right? Because that's just the trauma that replays and it goes automatically into your. It automatically plays in your personality until you become self-aware of it. So there's definitely her mother like played to that part of her that Gypsy was just like her mother, and that's why she went back because she wanted to. She was enticed. She was enticed by to be back in that situation and being in more control of it because she was enticed to with the money and the power. And now I suspect that was something that her and Dan they both plotted. Now her and Dan. Let's ask this: how much of a part did they play, and did they plan? Did they plan it together, or was it all Gypsy? Did Dan have any part? Because I'm feeling like if at that point in time was the trigger to to be on her own or to take the reins. All right, if that point was a trigger, then I feel like that makes a lot of sense. That's the point where she'd be like, you know what, I don't really need her. I'm gonna plan for somebody else to take the fall, to take her out. All right, so I wonder, was that with Dan? Was that with Dan? Did she first start planning that with Dan? Interesting. Interesting. So I feel like this represents a gypsy, and it's because the fact that it's a man and a woman, it's like it's just so clearly representing Gypsy and Dan. She felt she felt loved by him for the first time. She felt idolized. She felt sexualized for the first time, and she liked that because she wanted to feel desired because there was so much that she wasn't allowed to feel and be and express herself, and it was very much like normal for her at that age, and she wasn't able to explore that. And so with all that repressed energy, it comes out in extreme ways. And so even when one person, no matter how older or toxic and unhealthy they are, even if they are older, a lot older than you're gonna be like, oh, I like the attention. Oh, somebody likes me, because you never felt that way before. And so, yeah, I feel like that's the kind of relationship that they had. And so she allowed him to like whisper in her ear to like mold her. And she was in a very vulnerable place when she met him. If you think about it, he's the first person who she opened up to about and trusted and wanted to run away with. Like, it's pretty serious. That's pretty serious. And so he definitely had a lot of influence. I feel like he had a lot of power to manipulate her this time. So I feel like she flips flop back and forth between a relationship of being the manipulator or the abuser and the abusee, and she flips back and forth between the roles of the abuser and the abusee. And so, she slipped back into this role of abusee with him because I feel like he's very controlling. Okay, because he was very, very old, and she was very, I don't know the exact specific ages, but he was old. Okay, he was older, and she was like still like she was 19 or whatever. And I'm just gonna say this. Okay, the fact if a man, I don't care, even if they're both adults, and if one person, a man or a woman, is attracted to a younger party, it is because they are attracted to the power imbalance. They are attracted to the vulnerability that they can take advantage of and manipulate. That's what they're really attracted to. Because why would you be attracted to somebody who's in such a different headspace and consciousness? Why would you want to, you know what I mean? Like it works me up. It works me up because it's just taking it's exploitation and takes advantage of people, younger girl or guy, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, but it also there's no need to pity anybody because we're all here to learn, and we're all powerful beings behind it also. Regardless, or anyways, getting back to Gypsy and Dan. Yeah, I'm feeling like he really like whispered that idea in her ear. I feel like he definitely had a lot of dark, especially she was somebody who appeared very sickly. She appeared to be a sickly child before he really got to know her, and that she wasn't. And he was still like attracted to her before that. Like that, he is so sketchy. He is so sketchy. He is so like he's a pedophile at the very least. Okay. Anyways, so I feel like he had a dark side. He definitely had a dark side to him that he wanted to use and express with Gypsy. And so I think that he planted the seeds in her head and he molded and shaped her into this idea of like you need to like you need to get rid of her if you want to be on your own, if you want to be with me. It's kind of like he was playing this cyclic game and role that Gypsy was playing with Nick. Like, if you want to be with me, kill my mom. So it's kind of like he was saying that to her. Like, if you want to be with me, kill your mom. That's interesting. I didn't think it was gonna be like that. Now, are they still in contact? Oh, I heard a notification ding at the doorbell, the door chime. Oh, are they still in contact? They are. They are. They are. Maybe I feel like they were going through a rough patch and like stopped talking for a while. But I feel like behind the scenes, she was always going back and forth to him, and behind the scenes, she's always trying to like find her way back to him. And I feel like the only reason that they're ever not talking is because he rejected her and he pushed her away. But I feel like he does come back. He does always come back. So that is interesting. Let's see, what else would the collective like to know about? I want to channel her mother. DeeDee Rose Blandchard. What do you have to say to your daughter? Okay, because this is a divine feminine deck. What message do you have to say for Gypsy? Wow, okay, first off, I want to say this because I felt a lot of warmth when I took that deep breath in. And I want to say that DeeDee has a lot of love for Gypsy. And she's always had a lot of love for Gypsy from the other side. And this is something that I've heard through other channelers, that oftentimes the people who abuse you and the people who do the worst things to you in this lifetime are the ones who loved you the most in the spirit realm. Because when you think about it, who wants to, nobody wants to be the person to sign up to do all these terrible things. Nobody wants to, nobody really is eager to be like, all right, like I'll be the one who will rape, murder, and kill, or who will be raped, murdered, and killed. It's right, like these are not easy tasks or roles to sign up for and to step into. And so it takes a lot of love. It takes a lot more love. It takes a higher vibrational consciousness and love or spirit and being to be able to embody and transmute such darkness. So I feel like they definitely have such a strong connection. They have a strong connection in the spirit world or in their past lives. Oh my god, that makes me want to cry. Because it's like I was talking about, like everything on this school of life, this journey of earth is just like a game. It's just for our soul expansion. It is a journey of healing, and that's what that maze is about. And she's like, she wants to guide her. She wants her to know that she's on the other side, and she's open to guiding her to showing her what is in more alignment with her higher self. And she wants to help guide her to awareness, to ascension, to healing. She wants her to start listening to her soul, to start listening to her heart instead of her ego. She wants to apologize. She knows that she taught her. She knows she takes accountability. She was the one who taught her, who put her in this labyrinth, or who taught her these ways. But that was something that they both agreed to so that they could both learn, they're both individual sides of lessons. Yeah, so it's like she wants to awaken and remind her of the soul contract that they had. Like this, there is a higher purpose for this. This wasn't just for your pain and suffering. Okay, and so therefore, it's okay to feel what you feel. You're gonna come out of this on the other end. You're very capable of doing so. So all you have to do is believe and to choose to go that route. Wow. The only way is through. You have to feel it to heal it, baby. You have to feel it to heal it. And that was the underlying message of this. Like, Gypsy is not a monster. She's a very deeply and nichely traumatized child who's, walking around with this unhealed trauma, with this, like, and it's, it's keeping her in that, like, child, like, mindset and consciousness, or a traumatized childhood mindset. And yeah, it's keeping her stuck because she wants to be in denial and she doesn't want to acknowledge or take accountability, and she doesn't really want to heal, right? She doesn't want to do the inner work because she just wants to reap the rewards already, because she feels like, well, damn, I have to go through all of that, and I have to work, and I have to, do all this healing and see, and it's not easy, because it's not easy to face our shit. It's not. It hurts. It hurts even when it's not our fault, even when we know that it's not, because a part of us feels like, we to blame ourselves that it happened, or to blame ourselves for continuing the cycle, and so that's where it's got to stop. That's why the only answer to heal and to transmute, no matter how dark it is to love, is to forgive and to accept, and is to love. So that is DeeDee's message for Gypsy. How beautiful is that? Love. Heal. She wants her to heal, because I feel like that was the whole purpose of like this whole, I don't know. Yeah, like, was it a part of the contract? Was it a part of the contract for DeeDee to go out in such a violent way? Or, did Gypsy, did her consciousness, or you guys plan and allow for her to have the free choice um, to react in a different way? I have a feeling. The karmic trench. The karmic trench. Okay, guarantee, guys, guarantee. Look, the plowing, the sowing, the planting the seeds. It was divinely planned. That. Actually, I feel like the very big. Yeah, thank you for confirmation, spirit. Another notification sound. But yeah, like, I feel like the big moments in our lives that's like very, very like life forming and changing and shaping. It's like those moments are like, what do you call it? Like in Marvel, where like those are like the points in the timeline that like cannot be changed, whatever that is. Yeah, it's like that. And like within those points, around and within those points is where we have the free will to react, right? So that was a point that was not able to be changed. That was destiny. That was fate. Yes, thank you. Another one. Thank you. That was destiny. That was fate. That was all a part of the plan, you guys. So trust and to see the divinity that is within even the darkest of times. Okay. Karmic trench, the karma. What karma is Gypsy and DeeDee? They're those involved. What karma are they healing at this moment? Success. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Like success, sorrow, trust, completion, creativity, joy. So it's so interesting, because this is so much. I mean, of course, these are all aspects I think we could find in all of our lives, but I think when it pertains to Gypsy, the success card is what she is. I feel like that's what that was supposed to be her like reward. Like, she is supposed to be able to, you know, turn her trauma into her abundance, right? And use it. Like, it's okay. Like, we're allowed to turn our pain into power, or turn our mess into a message, and to like profit off of it, right? As long as you're coming from an authentic place, you can really feel like you're ruling the world and you're on top of the world, and that's okay. We all deserve to have that abundance and freedom and success. That's a true abundance. So I feel like that was meant for her, because of how much that she went through. Like, they wanted to have that light at the end of the tunnel for her. Okay, but the karmic situation here was that in order to be completely self-fulfilled, you have to first trust, and it has to be from within yourself. It can't be like, oh well, because I have this safety net, or because somebody else set up this foundation for me, or it has to be from within. It has to be despite, even though I don't have a safety net, even though I'm scared and I'm angry and I'm in pain and I'm lost and I have no idea, I'm still gonna go for it. I'm gonna dive head first, and I'm gonna trust and know that it's for my highest good, and trust that I'll come out of it better before than if I chose to stay stuck in this. All right, so that's the karmic lesson. So like, without this trust, you're not going to get to this. So that's that karma that she's still replaying in her life, is if she's going to be the one to hold on to the pain and the trauma, or if she's going to trust and let go, and trust the universe. Trust that the universe will catch you. Trust that all of this that the universe gave you was actually a gift. It wasn't for your suffering. Trust that it was a gift, and to keep going with that faith, and keep going with that faith and that trust, holding that love with for life and for yourself. Okay, so once you overcome that hurdle, you break through that karma. You don't have to learn that lesson anymore. So you don't perpetuate more and more of these karmic cycles and lessons. You learned it, and you get to this completion. You get to this level of peace. You get to this level of self-mastery, right? Self-sufficiency and self-mastery. And so until she learns this, and this is something that can apply to us all of these four cards. This can apply to us all in practically every situation and every trauma. Okay, because like I said, it is all about love. It's all about trust. What is trust but love? What is forgiveness but love? What is creativity but love? What is abundance but love? Everything is all about love. And what is sorrow but the lack of it? What is trauma but the lack of love? Everything is always about love, you guys. Ah, Shay. How beautiful is that? Thank you for coming through, DeeDee. Thank you for Chills. So she has that potential, and that's the divine purpose. It's for each and every one of us to have that opportunity, that self-empowering opportunity to trust. Because yes, it can go either way, but that's why it's so empowering when you have that choice of and the opportunity to go either way. It's more empowering when you choose to trust. Because I could have done this, I could have did that, but I chose to do this. And it's through that comparison that you don't use that comparison to degrade yourself, but you use it as a just a way to measure where you were and where you are. Wow, that's so interesting. So she definitely has potential. She still does it. Like it all takes healing. If we want to allow for the best and the highest good to become manifest, we want to allow for miracles to become manifest, and even the worst of things to be able to be transmuted. We need to allow, trust, accept, forgive. Right? That doesn't mean excuse. It means that we will acknowledge. Right? We want to acknowledge first and trust. Trust. Let go of the fear, because what is holding on to anger but holding on to fear? Right? So we gotta let go of fear, let go of anger, and trust. So that is her individual journey that she's going on, and that's why these dark things happen, and that's why her dark situation specifically happened, and that's the life journey that her soul chose, and that's the karmic cycle that she chose. They all chose to come into and out of in this lifetime. And this is something that we go through, that we all have these karmic cycles. It may not be as dark as theirs. It may not be as dark or as light as somebody else's, and it's still there. So this is something that can speak to us all, apply to us all. Like we're not gonna do we want to continue? Because it's gonna happen, right? When we're operating on an unconscious level, there's gonna be a point where we're gonna be the ones becoming perpetrators, right? So it's like, once we become self-aware, do we want to be the one to perpetrate that same trauma that we resented for having to go through in the first place, right? Do we want to become the villain or the very person that we hated, or do we want to break that cycle and know that it starts with us, and to start to forgive ourselves and forgive them? Because forgiveness is not about the other person, right? Everything is all about the self. So everything that you feel and getting like triggered by the case or by Gypsy, all that judgment, that's all a sign and a reason to turn within, and for your own fearful limiting beliefs that you hold. Because truly, when we come from this, when we really are holding a higher level of consciousness perspective, there is no good or bad. There is no judgments to be had on anything or anyone. It all is what it is. It is all source energy, and source loves all. Source is unconditional love. Like, that is true unconditional love, guys. It's not to say, oh yeah, it's okay, keep doing that. No, it's to say, you're still worthy, you're still lovable. Let's get under the layers. Like, you're capable of healing this, you're capable of facing this. Like, why are you feeling this way? What led you here? And once you become awakened to those things, then you can begin to really heal. But it first begins with facing it and acknowledging. So, well, it's a beautiful message. I feel like I want to close it out. With like a message from Gypsy Rose's higher self. Okay, because we're all aspects. We're all like infinite million different aspects of God. Okay, so we each have like it's like I always think about it like in the that Bible story of like Adam or somebody ripping off a piece of his ribs to give, and that's how it started the human race or something like that. And so I feel like it's like that, where it's like God was like, I'm a consciousness. I'm a being of light. I'm just energy. I'm consciousness. And like, I want to create things. I want to physically manifest things and experience myself through these spiritual manifestations. So I'm going to break off a piece of myself, or this specific aspect that has this percentage of this percentage of that. And I'm going to put that into one aspect. And you're your own thing now. And I'm going to do some more. Because I'm an infinite source. I can infinitely create. And so I feel like that's what we are. And yeah, so it's like our higher self, that aspect that we came from, with like, you picked a little, created us in the specific percentage um of, of personality traits and things like that, and sent us down our way to be physically incarnated. While the bigger aspect, the more fuller completed, our soul is up in the spirit world, guiding us. So I'm just sharing my beliefs, and that's how I see it. And so I feel like asking Gypsy Rose's higher self of what is the message for the collective? What is the message for the collective on Gypsy Rose's story, her journey, and how it's affecting everyone? And yeah, just what message do you have to say about this whole thing? 𝓑𝓸𝓸𝓸𝓵, the prophetess of true power. Wow, I call my power back from all times and all places. When I was just talking about like all the different kinds of life, oh my gosh, I am my own. Like that's what they want you to remember. Like you are this being, this orb of light. That is your true essence. That is your true power. Okay, so it's like it's giving me like how they're reminding us like how normal all of this like trauma and pain is. How like when God first started to break out aspects of itself into physical manifestations. When he first started out with like angels and dragons, right? And even when there was just an angelic realm, there were still wars. There were angelic wars, and this is because even angels experience the same thing that we do down here, where like we remember what it's like to be whole, because we all have like this underlying thirst to find love, to search for love, to search for power, to search for, because we feel like that reminds us of what it was like to be home, what it was like to be back with source and spirit, what it was like to be full, back with our higher self, right? So we're always trying to chase that feeling. And so even the angels were doing that, right? Because and you know, us down here on earth, we know it best. These lower vibrations are really dense. They're really dense, okay? They're really tough to get through. They're really tough to get on the other side of. So yeah, I guess it's just another reminder that I've been saying for the whole reading. I guess that's the main message I want to bring home and reiterate, is that we are multi-dimensional, powerful beings of energy, infinite energy. Okay, that means we are immortal. That means we are unstoppable. So once you see yourself as that, your true self, then you start to then you unlock the real you, right? You pull back all this trauma that you were just projecting and you were, you know, assuming the role of, and you pull all back. Oh, this is a real me, right? Because like back to the angels, the angel wars and stuff, right? They're just, everybody was just trying to take power. Like I feel like I remember them saying that even the angels like would try to like eat each other, because even they thought like by consuming this other seemingly or similarly powerful being, then I would you know, embody and take on their power and therefore become more powerful, and you know, therefore I'll feel better and I'll be better. And that's basically the same mindset that we all have here when we perpetuate the same toxic cycles of abuse and, you know, that we've experienced. And so they want to remind you how we are so much more than that. So you can, and all you have to do is claim it. All you have to do is claim your power. All you have to do is know it. All you have to do is believe it. That's how powerful you are. When you're this like being of consciousness, and when you're creating and manifesting something physically, it first starts with a thought. It first starts with the consciousness. So believe it. It's really all about your belief systems. And it's like once this belief is solidified, then it's like no matter how dark and deep the trenches of karma gets, that it never takes away from your true power. And in fact, it brings more light to it. 𝓑𝓻𝓵, so stand in your true power, knowing that it comes from within. It's not something that can be proven by anything outside of you. Right? Like all of these like achievements, all of these awards, or all of these challenges that you, or obstacles that you overcame, they're you know, they're great, they're amazing, they're not definitive, they're simply reminders. They're simply reminders of something that was already there within you. And it's like you told the universe, I don't really believe it. I need more reminders. So they send more like reflections of yourself to remind you. Like everybody, like Gypsy is just you. You are me. Thank you for another dang confirmation. We're all the same. Like we're literally just God, the same God source energy, broken up into a million different like aspects to experience itself amongst itself. Like we are all the same, you guys. Woo! I love that. Oh my gosh. Like yes, of course we're not all the same. We're different, but we're from that same source energy. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty. There is the sameness. There is the sameness and difference. When you have this acceptance and this unconditional love for all that is, then it all becomes one. It all becomes love. One love, one heart. That's such a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Spirit, for being here to help to transmute, you know, such triggering emotions throughout this whole case, this whole story, this whole reading. Thank you for the reminders of who and what we truly are. Thank you for helping us to allow and to open up to this, to the eternal love that flows to us, that we have the power to choose to embrace the eternal love that flows to us from a benevolent and loving creator. That is us. So love yourself above all. Okay, guys. So that's a beautiful parting message. And it's hilarious. It's probably going to be the parting message for everything. You guys, like, that's going to be the problem to solve everything. It's the reason. The problems are always the lack of love. And so the solutions are always going to be more love. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and hanging out. I so appreciate your support and your enjoying and diving into these readings and energies with me. Thank you guys. This was so much fun. Thanks for being here and supporting. I love you guys. Bye.